Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad, the definitive show on Airbnb hosting, featuring the best advice on how to maximize profits from your Airbnb listing, as well as real-life experiences from Airbnb hosts all over the world. Welcome.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.
This episode is brought to you by Hostfully, a company that helps you make beautiful guidebooks for your listing. Make your own at hostfully.com/pad. And as a special for Get Paid for Your Pad listeners, you'll get a free guidebook consultation after you make your guidebook. Welcome to Get Paid for Your Pad. Today I have a guest on the show who's invested in multiple properties in Eastern Europe along the so-called tourist trail. He's also the author of a book called Airbnb Coach, and he helps Airbnb hosts to improve their listing performance. So welcome to the show, Mark Krupa.
Thanks, Jasper. It's nice to talk to you.
Are you in Eastern Europe right now?
Yeah, I am in the Czech Republic, but I'm from the USA, Illinois.
Right. Awesome. And you own multiple properties along the tourist trail. What's the tourist trail in Eastern Europe?
Well, I've lived here a long time, and I just noticed where people are going to visit because I wanted to get involved in some investing, and I saw that the numbers are usually higher for short-term rentals. And so I just noticed how many people are coming to Prague. It's unbelievable. And how many people are coming to the second biggest location, Český Krumlov, and also how many people are going to the Alps. And I just thought, hey, that might be a good place to invest and then rent out short term.
How did you find the number of visitors? Did you look at the tourist stats and websites of tourist bureaus, or?
Yeah, part of it was just kind of being here and knowing where everybody's going. Part of it was visiting those places. And gosh, even in mid-February, how many people are coming to Prague and how many people are coming to even small towns? And so, yeah, I looked up to see the top destinations, but then I also just kind of visited those places myself.
Right. And what was the first place that you invested in?
It was in a place near Hallstatt, Austria, which is kind of a famous UNESCO visiting place. It's like a wooden village right on the water. And nearby is a place called Bad Aussee, and it's the geographical center of Austria, and where they're wearing lederhosen, and there's lakes all around and mountains. Really an amazing place. And back in 2009, they were just pretty much during the recession giving apartments away for just so cheap. I couldn't believe it. And then they allowed Americans to buy in Austria just shortly before that. So I really looked into it and pulled the trigger.
And why did you choose Europe as a place to invest? Why not the US?
Probably because I live here and they allowed you to invest in here. They also have really low down payments and really low mortgage rates because all of my purchases are with a mortgage. But I also am invested in the U.S., but into single family homes. And I did all that from here in Europe. The two homes I own in the U.S., I've never been to, will never manage directly. And those are doing really well, too.
That's interesting. So you've purchased two properties that you've never even seen.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I've never thought about that. For some reason, I want to see something before I buy it.
Yeah, for me, it was the numbers, and it's kind of a new industry. It's the turnkey single-family home rental business, and it's really a change in mentalities. People used to think invest within an hour of where you live. I say, hey, invest where the numbers are best. And for me, there's certain parts of the U.S. where the home prices are low, the rents are high, and they have real long-term management that you can trust, that they've been around for 10 years. So far, so good. I'm 3 years into it. all I did is go to the U.S. Embassy here in Europe to sign the papers and send the money. And that's kind of a neat way to invest, but you don't get to visit those places. Then again, I don't want to be visiting other cooler places than that.
Right. And how many properties do you own currently in total?
6, 4 in Europe and 2 in Texas.
Awesome. So let's focus on the ones in Europe for this episode. So you're saying you have one in Austria and you have one in Czech?
I have 3 in Czech and 1 in Austria.
Okay. Awesome. And are these, so the one in Austria, is that in a skiing resort?
Yeah, and it's a 4-season destination. There's skiing all around, and people always ask about that. I'm surprised how many people come every month of the year. Sometimes November is the low month, but then 2 Novembers ago, somebody stayed there for the whole month, some digital nomad. First question was, how strong is the internet? And I have strong internet, and she worked there all month. But people go there for skiing. People go there in the spring, definitely in the summer, in the fall too. It's an amazing place.
That's awesome. Did you get a mortgage in Czech? Because you were living in Czech, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So did you get the mortgage in Czech to invest in Austria, or did you have to get the mortgage in Austria?
In Austria. And this was back in 2009. I don't know if they changed any laws or anything, but, I don't know German. I saw those ads and I tried to make sense of them. For about $35,000, you could buy an apartment and you could rent it out and you could get a mortgage. So I marched into the real estate. Do you speak English? And they said, yeah. And I said, I'm American. Can I buy here? They said, yes. Can I buy a mortgage? And they said, yes. All these things surprised me. They asked me how much money I made. I probably gave them some type of pay stub, but I don't remember exactly. But in Austria, it costs like 11, 12% in addition to the price. So it's kind of expensive to buy the place. But the realtor is also the bank. So I think there's some type of like they could I fully own it, but I think they could easily, if I stopped making payments, they could reacquire it. But 7 years into it, it's been a lot of fun. That's the rental that I get to visit, and I go there every 2 or 3 months.
Do you go skiing there?
I do. Go snowboarding, go off trail. Nearby is the longest ski run in Austria.
Awesome. Well, next time you go skiing, let me know. I'm a big ski enthusiast, so
hey, come on down.
I might hop over and join you.
Sure.
In terms of performance, is the Austrian one the one that's been performing the best?
It is, yeah. It makes about 900 euros a month, and the expenses are only 350 euros a month, including mortgage, electricity, everything. And that's about 3 times more than I could make long-term if it was a long-term rental. So that one's doing really well.
So you're saying it makes about 550 euros a month. So times 12, that would be about 6,500 to 7,000 a year.
Yeah.
Which on the purchase price of, you said 35,000, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that's great. That is, if I'm correct, about 20%.
Yeah. And the tax situation is great too. I report the taxes, and then with the mortgage, with the depreciation, you don't end up paying too much taxes. That's why I don't pay off the mortgage right away.
Yep. Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And, if you're not paying too much for the mortgage, if the interest rate is quite low, then it's a great way to leverage.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. What about the other properties in Czech?
Yeah, they also make a few $100s more than the expenses. And they were all 3 were purchased for Airbnb. And then I got a letter from one of them, the one in Český Krumlov. That one was doing very well, especially because it was such a low purchase price. It was up by the train station, and just got about $400 a month for that, and purchased it also for about $35,000 in US dollars. But I got a letter from the city, and they said, we need to see your business license. And so I asked a lawyer, and they said there's no law determining what's short term and what's long term here in Czech yet, but there probably will be. So I ended up listing it, taking it off Airbnb and listing it really high for long term. And right now there's a Danish couple in there, and I'm actually making about $100 more long term, surprisingly, for that short term rental.
Right, and that's quite rare. Normally, short-term rates are higher. I just realized, by the way, when we did the calculation on your Austrian property, since you have a mortgage, how much did you actually invest?
Yeah, I only put down 20%. It was 32,000 euros to purchase it, and they asked me to put down like 19-20%.
So you only put down about 7,000 euros.
Yeah.
And then you're making 7,000.
Yeah. That's the magic of real estate.
That's pretty epic. Yeah, that's pretty epic with the leverage. I mean, even without leverage, if you were to buy it cash, 35K, and then you're making, I thought you said about 900. Let's say I don't know, maybe 100 euros, 200 euros cost. You're still you're still making like over 20%, even when it's a cash deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my goal was to if you've ever played that game Cash Flow online, the goal of that game, it's like Monopoly, is to get out of the rat race where you're making this passive income. And then my original goal was to just travel around and live in the different apartments, and when they get booked, just move to the next one. Now, I can't do that so much because those are long term, but I can stay in other places with that money. I do life coaching too, so I can, travel and work, but so far so good.
That's awesome. I'm just looking at Cash Flow. It sounds like a fun game, but I've actually never heard of it before.
You'll learn more from that game than, just about any seminar or book. I mean, those are all good, but that's kind of like a real life, but it's a game, and you just invest in certain things, and the goal is to make as much in passive income as you do active, so you're not trading hours for money. It's the only video game I play.
That's awesome. Well, I'm gonna start playing that the moment I hang up the phone. It looks amazing. Yeah, awesome, man. Host, I can't emphasize how important it is to share recommendations of things to do or eat near your listing beforehand. Your guests won't have to go through TripAdvisor, Foursquare or Yelp. They won't have to scratch their head and think about possible places right in the moment. I've been using Hostfully to create an online and printable guidebook to show my guests my favorite coffee places in Amsterdam. They use my recommendations, and I'm getting fewer questions from my guests as a result. I've also included screenshots of my guidebook on my Airbnb listing as a way to differentiate my listing from others. So make your own guidebook at hostfully.com/pad. So can you tell us a little bit about the laws in Czech? I mean, obviously in Austria there's no regulation against short-term rentals, because those ski resorts, pretty much everything is short-term rental, right?
Right. Yeah. In Austria, for sure, short-term rentals, I have no doubt that they'll be it's a short-term rental area. And so I don't know if they'll ever start changing the tax structure, because two things unique about Austria are I have to make sure that since I live about 7 hours away, they have to fill out their own tourist tax form and turn it into the tourist information. And people almost always do that. And then later I get a bill, pay €1.50 per night for tax. And then also, I probably only one I know that they have to leave a cash cleaning fee. And I make it really clear on my Airbnb listing that they have to leave the cash, 35 euros, it's not cheap, on the table when they leave. And they almost always remember that. If they don't, I go on Airbnb for Resolution Center. Everybody's really nice and they send it if they happen to forget it. But that way the cleaning lady who lives next door, I don't know of any other way to pay her. And so that works. But Austria is fine. And then in the Czech Republic right now, apparently you need a business license to do, because they're considering it a business, but more than 30 days, they consider it an investment. that's why my 3 and check are now just investments, long-term rentals, because I don't have that business license. And then apparently you also have to give the foreign police, whoever's staying in your place, you're supposed to turn over their information to the foreign police. Those are the 2 laws that I know. And then just, report your income at the end of the tax year. And that's where we're at right now. But hey, I've lived here so long, and visa laws change, short term, everything changes. The law changes every year. So you got to stay on top of it.
Right. Did you think of some other interesting places to invest in Eastern Europe or Europe in general?
Yeah. I looked into it. I looked into Vienna because a lot of people visit Vienna. They have a brand new train station, and I really looked into buying there, but in came those super cheap, very high functioning, clean hotels that they built. So the competition is really tight. And I also tried to rent in my place. I live close to where Poland and Slovakia and Czech meet. And I just rented out my own place. So when I'm away, maybe somebody will stay, I'll make some money, but no takers at all. So you have to be in a good location. Sometimes Budapest, I heard that apartments in Budapest, Hungary are really inexpensive, but, you'd have to definitely set up a management situation. And that one intrigued me, but I haven't really looked into it that much because I don't think I could leverage it with a mortgage. And the other places, gosh, they're just so expensive. The capital cities are, the price that you purchase per what you get, it's difficult. So in short, I don't know. I'm glad I bought a few years ago because European prices are high now. You have a good time to sell, Jasper. Good luck with your sale. I've been following your blog and your videos.
Yeah, definitely. It's not a bad time to sell at all, which is great. One more question about your Austrian unit. How do you manage it? Like, who does the check-ins, or do you have a remote lock or some sort of smart lock solution?
Yeah, I have a realtor lockbox, and it's a little village. So it's the apartment's on the first floor, and it's just a one room. All of my investments are studio, small, cheap apartments. You get into bigger apartments, it's harder to find takers, and it's way more expensive, and the building cost more. But people are able to get into the building. They don't lock the front door of this apartment building, which is rare in Europe. And then right drilled into the door, I hung a realtor lockbox where the key is just in there. They just have to punch in the 4 numbers, open the box. It's non-electric, and then open the door, and the rest of the keys are hanging inside. And then the cleaning lady, she lives next door, but first is the lockbox option. Second is I let them know where there's a hidden key. And then third, they would call the cleaning lady, ring her doorbell, which they don't have to do that much. I try to be real nice to her. She's really nice, does a great job, gets 5 stars, always dependable. So that's how we get the check-in.
How did you find her?
Great question. I stayed in the apartment right above the one I bought before I bought it, just to see if the building's okay, if there's no noises, if there's no mold. And also I figured out how they do the cleaning. And they weren't listed on Airbnb. They were just listed locally. And so I just asked her if she would do the cleaning for mine when I bought it. And so she did a good job for 5 years. And then she just all of a sudden quit. And then I said, do you know anybody who could, and at Craigslist, and I put some on the listings on the supermarket, couldn't find anybody. Actually found another neighbor, but they cleaned once and didn't do a good job. So I cannot hire them again. So I went back to the first cleaning lady. I said, I'll give you €100 if you can provide me with another cleaner. And she did. And this cleaner's been great for 3 years now.
What would be your tips to somebody who's looking to invest in Europe?
Yeah, I'm a big, like we said, leverage guy. So I would see if you can get a mortgage. But if you have the money, you could possibly look into these new things where sometimes you can buy whole units that are more like cabins, but they cost a few 100,000 crowns, but they'll manage it for you and you can stay there. And I don't know the numbers on that. Something makes me think you don't get a great return, but at least it's professionally managed and taken care of. And I just think get educated, look around. Don't, the goal is to make more per month than you would spend. And if it's important for you to stay there too, then that's neat. When you have a free vacation money, it makes you money. But yeah, the cleaning lady is super, super important. That's my recommendation. And then just, be a great host by communicating, reacting, and welcoming people. But I personally am an investor that doesn't want to be hands-on. I've only met 2 of my guests ever, and they really are pleased. But I don't want to be the investor that gets the calls in the middle of the night, fix the toilet or anything for long-term or short-term. That's why I do apartments and in America homes, but it's fully managed.
Right. But the Austrian unit, you do the messaging on Airbnb yourself, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What if you get people from Germany? Do you speak German?
I don't. Just Czech and English. So I have it listed only in English. And if people start writing me in German, I write back in English. And they always figure a way to just write back in English. And language has never really been a barrier.
Awesome. Let's talk about your book and your coaching business, because you do help other people with Airbnb as well, right?
Right. I wrote the book a while ago and help people through that. And then I'm just getting started with the helping people. And it's a unique way. I combine my coaching practice with some of my experience in Airbnb. I don't have all the answers for them, but I have certain skills in asking the right questions where they could find the answers and the way forward. And I do that through a app called Voxer, where it's kind of like a texting app, but for voice. And that way there's no time zone difference, where they could ask me a question, and then I get their voice message. And then when I have time to react to that, I give them answers and more questions, maybe some experiences. And then they respond to that. And the clients pay per hour of speaking, which could last over many months. So it's kind of a unique way to do coaching.
And it's called Voxer, and the app automatically tracks like how much time you spend on it.
Yeah, it does, and I'm not really strict about that. I just basically really enjoy Airbnb and want to help people. But it's a non-real-time voice messenger app. As in Victor, Voxer.
Is it similar to WhatsApp?
Does WhatsApp allow you to record voice messages and then send them?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, then yeah. Yeah, it's similar.
Interesting. And it's voice to text transcription, it says.
No. Well, maybe it can do that, but it basically is, as we're talking now, there's no delay in our answers. The Voxer app, you just hold the button, you speak into and then it sends the voice message to whoever you're talking with. And when they have time, they do the same and send you a voice. So I'm happy to help people with text too, but it's fun to just kind of voice back and forth.
Yeah, what's great about these type of apps, I imagine that this is similar to WhatsApp, where you put in a number, and then if you change the SIM card, you have the choice to keep your old number, so that when you travel around and use different types of SIM cards, you can always communicate with people using the same number. So if you change your phone number, then people don't have to change the number in their contact details, because you can just still use the old number. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. All right, Mark. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to come on the show. It's been very interesting, and I may take you up on your ski offer at some point. I've been skiing in Austria a lot in my life, and quite enjoy the Austrian culture and the food and everything. So
yeah, definitely come down. It's the Salzkammergut area, which is not it's just so beautiful with the lakes and mountains everywhere. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Austria is a beautiful country in general. It's awesome. All right. Well, thanks a lot again. And all the listeners, thanks for listening. And of course, you can find the show notes at getpaidforyourpad.com/podcast, where you can find all the links of all the stuff that we talked about, as well as Mark's book and the Voxer app, and all the other good stuff. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.
Get paid for your pad. 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 Get paid for your pad.